What's going on YouTube? King Yoshi here, and today I am here with another episode of Meta Mondays. But today I am not here alone. With me I have Kid Kiyo.
Your Highness.
and what's that? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Apparently I was wrong.
Alright, who the fuck decided you were king? This is my show now.
Oh,
Lord
hello?
Rabia.
What is your
Good.
name?
Bro.
Isn't a lord below a king?
Alright, cool. So he'll just go
Might be
unintroduced. That's fine. I'm okay with that. That's not a problem. I guess, I didn't write this down, but, NUPL draft just happened.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited.
It
Crab's
did.
looking tough.
Dude,
Crabs are winning, let's get it.
we were all in call earlier, and we were looking at the Crabs, and we were like, holy shit. Like, that's a team.
I was surprised with how well we got off to a good start. Like we got Bugsnader and M Dragon really cheap.
I definitely think you guys will be making playoffs with that.
Makes up for spending 30k on Finch.
Only 28, dude, under budget.
True. Eternally went for over 30k, so there you go.
I'm kind
Just
of stuck on the Vivs over here.
Stuck on
Yeah,
the Vivs.
How's that team looking? Do you guys have a lineup yet?
Yeah, I think we've got a week one going. I am
Nice.
of course not starting, but
Sorry
You
to hear
know,
that, friend.
it's looking pretty good.
It's okay, you just have to provide support in whatever ways you can, and you won't get banned from next to UPL.
Exactly.
As
All
soon as
right.
one of your players shits the bed, you're in. Let's be real.
That's true. Eternally did say he was going to get me in at least once. What did he tell me? He said we're slotting you in Oras, but we'll play in call. I'll make the team tomorrow. I said, oh
there
wait,
you
people
go.
really just ghost each other? LOL. He said, I'm just kidding. Hello, LOL. Well,
Mhm.
Eternally
Anyway.
wasn't kidding.
no, he wasn't.
Eternally, you've been outed. It's time for the Rabia TL leadership.
It's time.
Didn't realize this
2021.
was how we were gonna start, but I'll
Sooner
take it.
than you expected. All right, so something else that came up today that I kind of forgot was going to happen was a council vote, and both of you are on the council, so I kind of want to go through a section that I'm calling jailed because we jailed the scientist, and we're going to kind of go through, and I want you guys both to kind of give your thoughts on each of these Pokemon. Now, I know Kiyo in particular had a bit of a controversial ban, but we'll
I saw the Drampa come up in the slate, and I'm like, who in the hell nominated this mod?
You know damn well it was me, dude.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was you or Waters or something. Like,
yeah,
my God.
we'll get there, but I want to start kind of from, kind of I guess the most obvious ban in this case, which seemed to be Sneasel. So kind of what are your thoughts on Sneasel?
You want to go first, Kiyo, or you want me to?
You can go first.
Alright, so as the user that had been memed constantly for the past several weeks for voting ban on NFEs, I'm finally vindicated in getting both of them banned. So Sneasel's problem that I've been viewing has been the fact that we don't really have good switch-ins to knock off. We don't have knockoff absorbers really, other than a couple Sylvales. And we also really don't have great dark resists. All of our fighting types really just kind of die after taking a knockoff, Dice will crash. And Sneasel's also really fast for the current metagame. I think most of the speed tiers saturated around like 85 to 95 I'd say that's like generally a solid spot hit. Sneasel's basically 115. So it's outspeeding realistically most things in a game outside of Scarfers like Togedemaru and the occasional Scarf Unpheasant, whatever the hell else people are using as a Scarf Mon currently. And so it's just really easy to get a lot of mileage out of Sneasel. We're not really limited in terms of pivots either, so getting it in is pretty easy too. So you don't have to worry about making up for that thing's lack of a whole bunch of defensive utility. Yeah, pretty much it.
All right,
Also,
that's
we're
it.
using
Yeah.
Wishy-Washy unironically in the tier to, like, kind of half-check Sneasel, and so it's kind of just
Hey,
unacceptable
Wishy-Washy's
in my
fire.
eyes.
Wishy-Washy's fire. We'll get to that
No,
later.
it's
though.
actually a water type, Yoshi. Sorry to inform
Okay,
you.
well, all right. Well, thank you for the response, Rabia. Is it Rabia?
Rabia.
Rabia.
I think you got
Okay.
it right, yeah.
Just making sure. All right, Kid Kiyo, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Rabia hit the nail on the head. There's just not a lot of defensive switch-ins to Sneasel, the ones that do get crippled by knockoff. It's kind of been the same story for the last X amount of years. Sneasel's been in NU. We got it on the first try this time, or second try. But yeah, I was surprised that it took Sneasel losing Pursuit to get it banned, to be completely honest with you. No, but like I was been resorting to like Silvally Fighting's kind of been a check I've been using. But yeah, it's just extremely easy to get in. There's no lack of, U-turn, volt switch, or parting shot if you're into that on Silvally. But really easy to get in, very easy to just deal damage, and it's pretty much risk-free clicking knockoff. And it also helps that hazard controls, manageable in NU right now. Lots of good spinners, lots of good defoggers. So, I mean, that strategy of getting up rocks and just letting Sneasel whittle itself and trying to knock it out with priority is just not as strong as it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Those were kind of all my thoughts. But I actually have a question for Kiyo. Have you even played a game of SSNU?
I have played, let's see, how many have I combined on my main account? Let's see, I played 71 games, but I know I've got more than that. So I played enough. I definitely didn't start picking it up until like 2 weeks ago. I didn't play through alpha, didn't play through beta. Just kind of watched.
I mean, Roses and Eternally aren't exactly great sample games, but whatever floats your boat.
The forbidden tech of not dub wool, Raboot on every team.
All right, no, Raboot's not
heavy
good.
duty boots reboot. Like, what's wrong with that?
No, it's not good.
Truly the best mod in the tier.
It's the new Frogadier.
It's Frogadier, except it doesn't even have the good ability.
Exactly, it doesn't even have the good ability yet. Yeah, whatever. All right, yeah, Sneasel was obviously broken. I'm glad we got rid of it. But I guess sort of a little bit of a more controversial one. Still got banned. Haunter, which, I think that needed to go too. What did you guys think of that? If you want to go first
on this one because this was the real one where everyone was just laughing at me like, Haunter banner. This is a Gen 3 Rabia silly. God, I get my redemption arc now, so... The problem with Haunter, and I outlined this a couple weeks ago after the first vote on it, is that it's pretty much the definition of a coin flip switching into it. You either die to Shadow Ball or you die to Sludge Bomb. There's like one Pokemon in the tier that actually takes both of them well, and it's Skuntank. I don't view Skuntank as that great of a Pokemon otherwise. It's kind of mediocre. So most people have been saying, okay, well, just don't let it in. Yeah, that's a lot easier said than done when the Pokemon has several immunities and a couple of useful resistances even that let it switch in. You could switch into Garbodor's Gunk Shot, you could switch into Toxicroak's fighting moves, you could switch into like Sandaconda on Earthquake if you don't, get red and get glared. It's got a lot of means of actually switching in, and it's got a lot of disruptive stuff that it can do to teams as well. They just make it really hard to deal with defensively. Sub-disable have been something I've seen pick up a lot more recently. You've also been seeing specs still being annoying, and it's got some random tech stuff like Trick to be able to cripple certain switch-ins like Flareon. You've got Destiny Bond even I saw a couple times, which is kind of cool. Yeah, overall, the Mon's just a pain in the ass to switch into. It's mostly a matter of, yeah, it's not as hard to deal with in the builder as it is in game, but in game it's still really problematic because I feel like if you're not getting every read correct against it, you're getting punished way too easily. It's just not a very high-risk Pokemon for how awful it is bulk-wise. Yeah. It's just like Sneasel, but slightly less problematic, I guess, because it's not as fast and doesn't have priority.
Yeah, I mean honestly, that's what I thought of Haunter as well. People laughed at me when I said I wanted Haunter banned too. But looks like we've won this one yet again. NUTL 2021. Kiyo, what did you think about Haunter?
I was definitely in the laughing at Rabia camp the first week.
Yeah, fuck off.
I feel like the more I watched, like I didn't get a chance to use it a whole lot. I played against it quite a bit, and I think that's sort of where my logic of it's difficult to get it in sort of came from. Like I had a team that I thought was fairly Haunter weak, like was spamming like Eldegoss. Like let me look at what the 6 were right now actually. Gen 8 NU. Like I had Eldegoss, Lunatone. Yeah, don't ask about the Lunatone. It's my Indeedee check.
Hey.
That was my suggestion.
Yeah, dude.
Neomon taught me about Lunatone in Gen 7, so I can respect it.
And I mean, this was also on the team with the reboot, so like there were plenty of switch-ins with Haunter,
Okay.
and there were plenty of things that just didn't take the hits. But like, I don't know, I just found it was very difficult for my opponent to get in unless I let it happen. Like Haunter, I think Haunter gets in less easily on things like U-turn and teleport and such. Like Sneasel got in okay against those. Like I think Haunter's a lot harder to bring in that sense. And I just didn't face a lot of people who were able to bring it in effectively. But in the games I watched, I mean, if that thing got in and destroyed, and honestly, building teams with it's really annoying, or building teams against it's annoying because I ended up using like Stunfisk Galar a lot, things like that. Because like if you're trying to use Eldegoss and they have a Haunter, it's just kind of like a hey, as long as something's put to sleep, Haunter comes in for free against this. So it's just very annoying. And it takes some of Garbodor's options away. Like you see people running a lot of 3 attacks. Like I saw Stomping Tantrum payback quite a bit, just because you couldn't afford to not hit the Haunter. So I think there's a lot more options on the table for certain Pokemon now, and you definitely have to, or you're definitely able to play a little bit more loosey goosey now. You don't have to be on your toes about big threat getting in all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. My biggest problem with Haunter was honestly that it felt kind of restrictive in terms of like just the team builder. I mean, you can offensively check it, but it's really hard to, have a surefire check. And yeah, Skuntank is bad. Please don't use that. But whatever. I don't want to get on a tangent about Skuntank. I'll tell you what, in a live I recorded, I went on like this whole tangent about fucking Dynamax in random battles. So don't get me started. But all right, Toxicroak. So Toxicroak was actually the one Pokemon that went without any ban votes, which is funny considering Drampa was on the slate. But again, we'll talk about that. So what led you to vote no ban on Toxicroak?
Honestly, this Croak's been a mon that I haven't been able to get a great opinion of for the entirety of its time here. At times it's felt really overwhelming because of its just immense set versatility and how all of its sets have mostly different checks and counters. There's Garbodor is mostly a consistent, except it still kind of gets rocked by random, earthquake variants. And at the time, I felt, okay, this mon is absolutely ridiculous to prep for. This would have been, I guess, a couple weeks ago during the last slate, and I felt the set versatility was too much of a problem. It pretty much doesn't have any consistent answers, get rid of it. But as the meta's gone on, it just hasn't felt that restrictive in practice. I feel like a lot of Croak answers just naturally fit on the teams. And so you aren't really that weak to it ever, it feels like. You got a lot of Silvally usage as well between variants like Water and Dark. And they run Psychic Fangs a fair amount of the time, don't really care about Croak's priority because they're not weak enough to it. Unless you're like, even Dark versus Vacuum Wave, Croak doesn't really care. And Indeedee's usage, and I imagine we'll talk about that mon later, its inclusion to the tier helps a little bit versus Croak too, just because, Scarf variants arbitrarily deal with it, of course, but even just normal Specs variants, those existing and setting Psychic Terrain mean unless you're trash and running Modest Nature, cough cough, you don't care about the priority, and you can force the speed tie versus it. You could probably also just constantly bait them into thinking that your choice Scarf, because I think that's one of the 2 good sets on it. But so its inclusion makes it harder for stuff to be revenge killed. We've got a lot of usage as well out of mons like Rotom Fan, which do a good job of checking it. Yeah, it's just, I feel the meta's done a pretty decent job of adapting to Croak's presence.
Mr. Kid Kiyo.
Yeah, I think Rabia's got it. It's just one of those Pokemon that, yeah, it can be threatening. I think it's most threatening when it actually gets up the SD or the plot. But I find that when you're using Croak, it's often just too early in the game to do that. It really only sweeps late game because things take its priority moves, and there are plenty of things faster than it. I think it's always a tough call between whether you go physical or special. It largely depends on what the other 5 on your team are doing. Both are really, really threatening. For a while there, I think Nasty Plot was better, but I think they're kind of equal again.
Mm.
Um, and I don't know. I don't like using physical a lot because, well, mainly because I miss Gunk Shot. But I feel like physical you have to pick a little bit more when you bring it in. For some reason, whenever I've been using Toxicroak, I'm usually bringing it in on a dark type and then just picking which move I'm going for. If it's late enough in the game, we can boost. Um, for the most part, I feel like it's just difficult to get it to spread damage, unlike fighting types like Sock. Sock spreads damage throughout the game. Toxicroak stabs are such that like poison's really easy to find a resist to. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of bulky Pokemon that just take on fighting types, Croak included, pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. I never felt too strongly about wanting to ban Toxicroak either. I always felt like, it was kind of underwhelming in practice. Like, I get the set versatility is a huge thing, and, unpredictability kind of, in the past, I guess it's gone a lot into bans, but I don't know. I just think, yeah, as the meta's developed, it's kind of become a lot less overwhelming, but it's a really solid Pokemon still, just not one that needs to be banned. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. All right. Rabia, whatever the hell it is. You mentioned Indeedee, and who voted ban on Indeedee? Was that either of you?
No, I voted do not ban.
Okay, and
I
I know
believe I voted
Kiyo.
do not ban against that.
Yeah, okay. So what are your thoughts on Indeedee? And kind of, I know at the start when it first dropped, everyone was like, "Holy shit, we need to get rid of this Pokemon," and it's kind of devolved into where Indeedee is simply it's good, but it doesn't need to be banned. So kind of, what are your thoughts on Indeedee?
I think it's probably the most overhyped mon I've seen dropped into NU since Mega Obama Snow when we quick banned that mon for some unknown reason last gen. I don't know. I think Entity has the potential to become problematic pretty easily because, it's pretty reasonably strong with Psychic Terrain and specs, but it just doesn't feel that annoying in practice. H voice a lot of the time feels kind of pointless to have on the set compared to other moves. And so a lot of time you don't end up having that great just mid ground move to press because the tiers was dominated by Ghost. With Haunter gone, maybe we do see more H voice. But I've seen most sets go something like double Psychic, Psyshock, Mystical Fire, and like Dazzling Gleam, or some random utility move like Healing Wish, Trick, etc. I think that's a lot easier to deal with Pokemon like Skuntank pivoting around with even other dark types like Silvally Dark and previously Sneasel. It's not the fastest either if you do end up running specs, making it kind of reasonably easy to play around, I feel. Like you don't really have too much of an issue, I feel, taking advantage of the moves Entity locks itself into, meaning it can kind of suffer at times to be much more than dead weight in certain matchups. Not dead weight, but not as threatening as it seems. And I think this could be a case of like Haunter, wherein right now, or not right now, but it feels reasonable enough to play around, but it ends up devolving into something super threatening and just dumb broken. But I don't think this was the slate to vote ban on it.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think the fact that dark types have been really good in this most recent edition of the meta, it's definitely been tough for Indeedee. Like Sneasel, Sobali Dark, or Skuntank being on pretty much every team made it really tough to spam Psychic. I'm interested to see what it looks like now that like the number one punisher of locking into Psychic is gone. Um, could be that Hyper Voice gets a little bit better with Haunter. I do agree with you that it feels like you're just kind of conceding the fact that you're trying to be a wall breaker, but you're not going to wall break if you click Hyper Voice. I've seen a bunch of people run Scarf. I think that set's probably still a little bit underexplored. There's some really cool tools it has, like the Healing Wish factor is awesome. I've seen Trick used effectively, like Rabia was saying. So there's definitely more work to be done, but generally speaking, we have the tools to switch into it. Specs is not as overpowered as a lot of people were expecting it to be. Yeah, it's manageable right now.
Yeah, I knew that shit wasn't broken when it dropped. Some people, I mean, I guess it's the combination of Psychic Terrain and Choice Specs that people were afraid of, but I mean, in the meta, like you guys were saying, in the meta with Sneasel and Haunter, it was sort of hard to play around immunities because, both psychic and hyper voice, those, psychic and normal type moves, they have immunities that they have to deal with. So I don't know. And Indeedee's not all that strong to begin with. So unless you're clicking psychic, you're not going to be doing all that much damage anyway. So yeah, I agree with all of that. Now, last but not least, we get to move on to my favorite vote this time around, Mr. Drampa. So, I'd like Kiyo to go first on this one because I'm assuming that he nominated this. So
I did nominate it, yeah.
What's
Well, this
with
was after
Drampa?
a session where I lost to a Drampa probably about, I don't know, I'd say 50% of the games I played it. I also used quite a bit of Drampa. Seen Greninja Warrior using it. Disjunction's been using it quite a bit. The thing's great. It just punishes Eldegoss usage quite a bit. Like Draco has very few switch-ins, and the ones that do switch into it pretty much get bought by Fire Blast. Outside of like Max Spadef Clefairy, you're not really finding a counter to it. Our steel types are all really shit right now. And then again, the ones we do have, like Pharaoh Seed, Mawile, etc., Stunfisk, even get bought by Fire Blast. So it's just really tough to switch into. I think it's got very good defensive utility, and it gets in a hell of a lot easier than Haunter did. And that's kind of where I'm at on it.
Rabia.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I saw Drampa on the slate and I got really confused. It's like, Drampa. The mon absolutely not a soul has mentioned as even slightly problematic in the tier. Drampa has been nominated. All right. Like, I don't deny that Drampa's a damn good breaker. It's strong as hell. And it's got a lot of nice defensive utility to get it in on stuff like Gourgeist. Some other ghost types as well. Eldegoss, another big one as well, because pretty much just invalidated as a Pokemon. Thanks to Sap Sipper. All it can do is spam Pollen Puff versus you and do like maybe 20. But I feel like Drampa is more or less just another slow wall breaker. And that's kind of it. When it gets in, it is claiming one. But it's...
Oh, you're picking, yeah.
Yeah, it's significantly easier, though, I feel, that compared to something like Sneasel or Haunter. Even though Drampa threatens more Okos, you don't get it in as many situations, I feel, that you get to actually take advantage of that because of
The
how
speed's
bad
a big
its speed
factor,
is.
too. Yeah.
I think
like you're not clicking two moves in a row like Sneasel or Haunter did.
I think we probably are underrating Drampa a little bit. But it doesn't feel like Mega Camerupt levels of problematic like last gen, where in that Pokemon...
that thing can switch moves, though. That's just not fair.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Amon could switch up moves, and I think it was also just like pretty much equivalent in strength because of sheer force. Drampa feels at least a little bit more manageable because you know it's locking in, and if it's not locking in, well then it's a lot easier to deal with a lot of time, I feel.
The meta is also really offensive right now, so it's much easier to play against it because, yeah, you're sacking something that doesn't beat the opponent, and then you're just bringing in a threat.
Yeah, Drampa murders the random stall builds because for some reason most of them don't have a Clefairy. They'll run like Alchemy because they want that for aromatherapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that like the Jari team that's been going around.
Yeah, I feel like those builds generally are a lot worse off. While Drampa has to predict really hard against them, if you have Surf last move, which I think is pretty reasonable, even without Rhydon in the tier, it still hits Gallerfisk without risking the miss if you're going Fire Blast over Flamethrower. It just kind of picks one every time. It's kind of funny. Even Alchemy is getting absolutely trashed on by Age Voice, and you force it to recover, meaning you can keep up momentum pretty well against those builds.
So
even
what
Clefairy,
you're,
I think, takes like
sorry,
almost 50 from Age Voice, right?
I want to say it can get to a KO because I remember it wasn't the hardest check to it in PU last gen.
I'm gonna calc that real quick. I think this is generally a mon we cite as being a check. Yeah, H voiced is 45.5 to 54. That's a nice check.
Yeah, and you're running Max Calm, right?
Yeah, max.
Okay.
And since Drampa runs, max speed all the time pretty much from what I've seen, or damn close to it, you're never worried about random Clefairy speed creep either.
Of course not, no. What's your opinion on Timid versus Modest on Drampa? I've been seeing both quite a bit.
I've used Modest the most because I like damage. but Timid seems pretty reasonable because Drampa's strong as hell even without Modest. I just like being able to pressure, the like 2 defensive switch-ins Drampa has even harder because I think that's
fair.
more fun. I haven't run into any situations where I was like, damn, if I had Timid, I would have won. So
The only situation I think it's relevant is against other Grandpa.
I think until that happens, I'm gonna keep going Modest. Then I'm gonna have that happen and I'm gonna be like, damn, Timid's just so much better. I wouldn't have lost this one game out of the 100 I've played. Just gotta go Timid now.
Yeah, for sure.
So what you're suggesting is that Kiyo should be immediately demoted from his council position for...
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Dude, I don't know why I'm on council in the first place. I was not asked. I was just placed onto it. I woke up to a post saying I was back on council.
You know what? Eternally told me you were back on council, and I was like, oh, okay. Cool. I didn't know he was around. But you know what? We're glad to have you back. I'm not on the council. I'm sure Rabia is glad to have you back, but I don't know. Yeah. All right. Well, those were, I think that was the whole slate, right?
Yep.
Sounds like it.
All right.
Yeah,
so
the only other like problem Pokemon I think is like Kovac, but that's manageable.
Right. All right. So I kind of want to take the time to talk about some of the drops and the one Pokemon we lost, Rhydon. So actually, why don't we start off with Rhydon here? So Rhydon was sort of, the best rocker that we had, and I know a lot of people were a little bit upset. Well, a little bit's an understatement, but they were upset that we lost Rhydon. So, how do you guys feel about us, losing Rhydon, and, how do you think the tier, will the tier even have to adapt that much to the Rhydon loss? Or is it kind of just like...
Take a moment of silence real quick as well after this. So, yeah, finish your sentence, but...
Okay. I don't remember what I was saying, but yeah, that was pretty much it, I guess.
Will the tier have to adapt, or does it matter? Like, is it irrelevant that Don left?
Yeah, is it even relevant at all? Because we have, so many stealth rockers in the tier, like Sandaconda, Piloswine, Stunfisk. Does it matter, or is it something, that has hurt the tier?
So, a moment of silence for the loss of our great Lord and Savior Rhydon.
Okay, that's been long enough, dude.
Silence.
Thank you for the dead air.
So, I think losing Rhydon is a good thing because that mon was kind of secret broken, I feel. It's just, I don't think we need it. It will result in some stuff like Unpheasant, Rotom Fan to a lesser degree being a bit more annoying to deal with because Rhydon was a really stable flying resist. And it was pretty much, other than like Sandaconda, I think Rhydon was easily the most splashable stealth rocker. It fit onto pretty much any build you needed it to. You could even see, I use this a couple times, like Double Dance Rhydon on certain HO builds was pretty nice. But I think overall, we do have enough options for rockers to where we're not going to really be like super worried about finding a substitute. Like you were saying, Yoshi, we got Piloswine, we've got Sandaconda, we even have Galarian Fisk. Clef as a rocker isn't too bad from my experience. We have some niche options like Mawile and Golurk and Cursla, so it's not a huge deal. I don't think you're going to struggle to find a stealth rocker to throw on a team. And flying resists, like I was saying before, Rotom Fan and Unpheasant are a little more problematic, but we have stuff like Togedemaru still, Galarian Stunfisk, Rotom Fan itself as a flying resist. Some other things like Berserker, Rotom Frost exist as well, although I wouldn't say they're as good of options as the other ones. I don't know. I think the tier benefits more from Rhydon leaving than it would have from it staying.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see the Rhydon loss being all that. I mean, I know I talked about all those rockers. I guess the only thing that kind of sucks for me is that, usually you throw Rhydon on a team because you want a rocker that is also a flying resist. At least in my case when I build. But, without Rhydon, Stunfisk is a lot harder to splash onto teams, as is Mawile. So it was kind of like this building crutch that a lot of people had. And I think without Rhydon, people will be a lot more inclined to kind of diversify their builds. So I'm really excited to see that.
Instead of using Rhydon, you'll just have to use both Togedemaru and Sandaconda on the same team more often than you already were.
Lovely. That's sure to be my favorite part of NU. But Kiyo, what are you thinking?
I think similar thoughts to both of you guys actually. I found when building that it's much harder to build defensive teams because your options for Stealth Rock are a lot more limited. Just because Sandaconda doesn't give you a ton of resistances. I mean, it's a great Pokemon and probably the best Stealth Rocker right now, but being pigeonholed into using Stunfisk Galar or having to use like I don't know, Rocks Clef, Rocks Pharaoh, and Rocks Mawile are all really suboptimal. Just because they're not super good Pokemon outside of having Stealth Rock. They're they're kind of meh in the meta for various reasons. But this meta is just so offensive that I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue because like niche rockers like Cursula are going to work. Go work is going to find its way onto teams. And while they're not as consistent or as good at it as Sandaconda is, if people are going to vary at all, that's what they're going to have to use. And that's just my big thing is I like to have a lot of variance in my teams. I don't like them feeling meta all the time. And I just think Sandaconda is just going to be number one by a large margin. It's not even going to be close.
Right, right. Yeah, so Rhydon was our only rise, but we did get quite a few drops. You know, we've already talked a little bit about Indeedee, so I'm sure I'll just skip over that. But I guess another one we have is Alcremie, which I've actually been really enjoying. So what do we think about Alcremie?
Kiyo, you go first. I have not even touched this mon.
I mean, I've had it on teams. It hasn't done a whole lot. The one time I used Calm Mind with it, it got up to +6 and then got crit right away. So I haven't seen it used very effectively. It's just kind of a do nothing mon. And while it like has a very clear role in terms of what it can do, I just don't think this is the right meta for it to exist. Like the only way it really fits is on really fat balance or really bulky or stall type builds, which are just not the way to go right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much
to see if somebody tries an offensive set, but I don't think it has the move pool to pull it off. But like, doesn't it have base 110 special attack? Like, it's not terrible.
It's strong.
Good special attack stat.
So I think specs could be something that we see in the future. But I mean, if you're running a specs fairy, I think Shiinotic is just better because it has decent typing. Like being a ground resist is cool, but don't get me started on weird bonds like Shiinotic. I could go down a rabbit hole.
Whoa! Since when was it a ground resist?
Shiinotic?
It's a grass
type Pokemon, Shiinotic?
No, Alcremie.
No, he was talking about Shiinotic when
okay.
I'm saying like Alcremie is like probably worse than Shiinotic as a specs user just because it doesn't add much defensive utility.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, with Alcremie, I've used it a little bit. I just feel like it needs a lot of support, and honestly, most of the time I'd rather have Clefairy as a fairy type because of the utility and all that. So, I don't know. I think Kiyo's right in saying that it's not the right meta for Alcremie, but I think potentially in the future it can be a mon that's actually pretty good. But we'll see. All right, next up I have on my list is Drifblim, which I've really been enjoying. You know, it sort of has, two sets. You know, you have your Strength Sap Defog and you have your Calm Mind. So why don't we talk about Drifblim?
I feel like this may change now Haunter's gone, but I feel like Drifblim's just overall outclassed is its problem. Like, offensively, I would always use Haunter versus an offensive ghost set, but even Cofagrigus with sets like Iron Defense Trick Room or even just the old golden standard of Nasty Plot Trick Room, those just feel better. I feel like in general, Kofa is just better than Blim. They don't have the same role in terms of like Kofa's just standalone defensive wall that can provide some support through like spikes or being a win con with like Resto Chesto, and Blim's a defogger that also disrupts teams with Wisp Sap. But I don't know. It hasn't really left a very strong impression on me. Feels kind of just hard to fit on teams, hard to justify over other foggers like Rotom Fan, which is a significantly better fighting type check as well. It's fine. It's just not particularly amazing in my eyes. I want to try out some like Unburden Resto Chesto stuff because that sounds fun.
I've been using I've been pairing it with Indeedee and I've been using Psychic Seed and it's like okay. I feel like it's just not strong enough to like just win games. You know what I mean?
Right. I also already solved the Drifblim EV set. All right, so here's what you got to do: 152 defense, 176 special attack modest, and 180 speed. This is the EV spread of the future.
I was expecting way more complicated EVs. That's
I
basic.
can make
Only
it a
three
lot more
stats?
complicated, I'm sure. The
Three?
152 defense is just dumped in there. You want me to find a special defense benchmark?
Okay.
No thanks,
I'm
dude, no
sure I'll
thanks.
find one.
Wait, there's no purpose.
What do you
I
mean?
called it the EV spread of the future, and then only has 3 stats invested in.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll invest some in attack as well, and I'll give it a physical move instead of Shadow Ball.
Please don't do that.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah, I think you're right in saying that Drifblim is just outclassed by a lot. Like, it tries to condense certain roles together, and it doesn't really do that all that well. I'm trying to think what Mon also had that problem last gen. I know there was one really tried to condense roles. Blastoise, yes, Blastoise. Blastoise was like that. I mean, the thing is I was in love with Blastoise as a spinner, but it really wasn't that good. And it's the same with Drifblim.
Blastoise fit on a lot more teams too, because it wasn't really outclassed by anything else. It was just kind of really. It had a lot of roll compression that it gave you, but it wasn't particularly amazing at anything that it did. Just, there are people like Eternally that were really high on Blastoise, but I never fell for the hype because it felt kind of underwhelming. Togedemaru as well. It's just there are certain Pokemon that provide a lot, but they don't do it particularly well in my eyes. I know those latter two examples are kind of awful compared to Drifblim, because I feel Blim takes the whole not doing any of the roles it can do very well at all thing a lot further than Togen Blastoise from last gen. But I still view it in the similar vein to them.
Yeah, those are, I mean, yeah, that's just how I felt about Drifblim. I've tried out both sort of like the more defensive sets and the more offensive sets, and it just seems to only fit on teams in specific scenarios. So I don't know. I haven't been enjoying it too much. Kiyo, what do you think?
Initial impressions are that it's just too weak to do anything. But I also think it's fairly early to try and make that call. I think there's a lot of cool sets that need to be explored. Like there was that
cool.
Recycle could be cool. There was that set back in XY where we ran like Will-O-Wisp, Hex, Acro, and Sub or something like that to mess with people. Like I think Mixed Attacker has some benefit to it just because Special's too weak. Like I've tried Psychic
with it after this call now, Kiyo.
Like I don't know, Shadow Ball T-Bolt's not good coverage. Like it misses HP flying on a CM set for sure. It's a little bit too weak to do anything, and it's a little bit too frail as a defensive ghost. I know Disjunction was talking about it being an okay defogger. I haven't seen anybody really use it effectively yet, though.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up Drifblim. But next up, I did say, what did I say? I said we were skipping in DD. We have a mon that I absolutely hate, Mr. Rhyme.
Next.
Yeah,
next.
Okay. Can we, Kiyo, do we agree with that? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a big fat next.
That's a big fat next, yeah. And then there's Quagsire, which, I mean...
I think Quagsire is a pretty good addition. It's a double-edged sword, because I think Quag, on like a balanced team with Curse, I was talking to Roses a little bit about it, seeing if he had used it at all. He said, yeah. I think that is going to be good. The fortunate thing is we're going to get a whole bunch of users that think, yes, Stall is good again. And it's
viable now. It's
viable, sure. It's like a C+ archetype, I guess. And that's going to be annoying to deal with. But I do like having a bit more, what's it called? Versatility in terms of the archetypes I can pull up with and feel like, yeah, this isn't an auto loss just based on what I'm trying to do with my team. I think Quagsire's also just cool because it's another like check to physical croak. There are a few other things that's good at stopping the SD valleys, and it's also not like super do nothing passive like Pikamuku, meaning you can actually threaten the opposing team a bit more. There are a few other things. Yeah, it just arbitrarily switches into Garbodor that lacks Toxic / the C Combinator. I guess it checks Berserker, which is also kind of nice because that mon is kind of strong. Not gonna lie, I like Berserker. Yeah, I think Quagsire is a good addition to the tier.
Kiyo, what do you think about Quagsire?
It definitely makes like balance and stall possible. it's going to be nice if I ever want to try and build a balanced team to have a blanket check to like Kofag, Double,
Or you
basically
got
any
plenty you
boosting
can
mon in one
use.
shot. Like, I don't know. Again, it's one of those mons I feel like it's not the right metagame for, but I don't know. With Sneasel and Haunter gone, maybe things that much of it becomes really good. It's got a lot of really good notable qualities that kind of hit on.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really comment on Quagsire because I haven't used it all that much, but those were kind of my initial expectations, so it's good to see that they are being backed up. Shocker, Yoshi gets it right again. Okay, so
Hey, I will say
Yeah,
though,
that's what I've been saying.
it could run choice band, dude. It's got water ground coverage for that ice punch for that Eldegoss. Oof. Just saying.
You about to run the ladder up with the CB Quag, dear Lord save us.
You know
Listen,
how much I love fat CB mons, dude.
bring
True.
that to NUPL, win with it, and I'll believe that that's a set. All right.
It's gonna be tough because I don't play in NUPL.
Fuck, you didn't buy yourself. Of course.
Yeah, dude, had to
All
get
right.
those Finch credits.
That's true.
True.
That's true. You did draft a good team, so I'm not gonna comment. But all right, I'd like to move on a segment that I'm calling Hot or Not. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna list off a Pokemon, and you're gonna start by saying, you know, hot or it's not hot, and then you're gonna give a reason why. So kind of like judging underrated Pokemon type of thing. So first up on my list, I have Wishy Washy.
Hot. All right, that thing is so bulky. Like, okay, so here's the thing. If you look at it as regular wishy-washy in the builder, it will never pop out at you. But if you look at it as wishy-washy schooling, the thing has 620 base stats. And it's so tough to get it into schooling range. And the fact that it like stays in school form until after the turn is just insane to me. It's too good.
Yeah, I must
No,
say
it is,
hot
so.
too. I haven't played it, but I've seen a lot of it. Both. Okay, I haven't played with it myself. I've seen a lot of it on opposing teams, and I've watched people like I think Kiyo use it, Coots use it, and a couple games from the startup tour. And it did seem pretty cool. It was nice, especially when we had Rhydon, just because you could take some hits from that too. And Rhydon checks are never bad. But it also switches into like our other rockers pretty well. It was even a good Haunter check / Sneasel check. Take a few hits from those. Like, yes, it's just so hard to actually knock it into schooling. And when you also mess around with shit like Protect on it, Rest, you just...
Oh, that Rest Talk set that guy runs.
It's dirty.
Oh, that's
Absolutely dirty.
You think you've got it killed, and then, oh no, it's HP bar.
You think Toxicroak can just set up on it because it's a passive water type? Nope, you get Earthquaked into oblivion.
Yes, yes.
Even an uninvested Scald hurts a lot. I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
It's off a base 130 special attack or something, or 140.
I don't think it's anything amazing, but it's kind of cash.
I mean, it hits for not investing in it, dude.
Mm-hmm. Real talk.
Yeah, Wishy Washy's hot for pretty much everything you said. It has U-turn too, and a slow U-turner, bulky slow U-turner, that's kind of broken, so I've been enjoying Wishy Washy. Ninjask.
Not. No. Stop. No. It was like
Ninjask?
It was slightly usable in the Scrafty meta because you pretty much just said, okay, you are playing a 6-5 game from the rip. But I think it's awful even with Rhydon leaving, man. Like, that's obviously a net positive for it, because Rhydon was just, you know, you are not doing anything but pressing U-turn the whole game. And while that's reasonable, you do take a lot out of what the Mon's doing at that point. And I feel like we have so many things that switch into it still that Ninjas can't do anything back to, like Rotom Fan, like Tokudamaru, like Piloswine, like Kofa, etc. I think it's awful.
Yeah, I have to say not on that.
What do you think, Kiyo?
Dude, I like that Pokemon, but it's definitely a not.
Yeah.
Like, shit, you like, also just take that further. I don't know why I have so much to say about this ass Mon, but like, you die to all the common priority pretty much in the tier because you have no bulk and you're weak to ice. And you either run boots but don't get to run acrobatics, or you run acrobatics and you don't get to run boots. Dude, it's just, you're 4 times weak to rocks and you can't even justify boots a lot of times. It's awful.
You just run like Sub Leechy, dude. You activate that acro.
Oh, yeah, Sub Leechy. That sounds like a real good set. Yeah. Sub Leechy SD, bro. It's a good set, I promise. And you're on U-turn as well, so that you can get rid of your Leechy Berry boost.
Well, yeah, dude, it's not like the HP you get back from Leech Life matters.
God, that mod is terrible.
That mon is weak as shit, even at +2.
It's so bad, yeah. And you don't get opportunities to set up anyway, so whatever. Thank you, next. Okay. Rabia, do you want to take a guess at what's next? It's sort of my signature niche mod.
Oof. What have you been spamming recently? Oh no, I don't remember. Better not be no damn dub wool.
It's not double.
It's one
It's
of
the
the
other one.
shitty fossils.
It's the other one. Okay, it's Arctovish, but
Oh
what do we
God.
think?
Not
What do we think about
next.
Arctovish?
Oh, no, like, oh, God, every time I see an Arctovish, I just jump in joy because, like, yes, a win! It's so bad. I think Keith's description of it's been pretty on point. It's choice band Pokemon base 100 speed and no item. Because you're running Choice Scarf realistically on it every set, and you're clicking Vicious Rend every time realistically. And except for a few times you decide, hey, I'm gonna use my Ice move this turn, sure. It just the mod's kind of bulky, but it just feels so fucking weak, even with Vicious. I don't know. If you're ever forced to predict, also you're just doing no damage because your base 90 attack. It's bad. You don't get to have the broken knockoff of Sneasel. We have a pretty decent amount of Vicious switch-ins, I feel, as well in the tier. I don't know.
Hey!
it's
You'd be
awful.
surprised. You'd be surprised.
It's just too slow, even with Scarf.
Well, the way I like to think of it is that you're just not running an item on it. You know, you're giving it a choice scarf to give it speed, which is a huge problem. But I mean, if you think someone's gonna bring like a bulkier team, just bring CB and just fucking kill everything. You know what I mean? And it's really brainless, which is probably why I like it, because I'm just a clicker on the ladder and in general. So all right, well, you don't have to agree with it, but Kiyo, what do you think about Arctovish?
Arctovish, dude. I think Hoenn Confirmed put it best. Like, somebody approached him on ladder and was like, yo, is Arctovish good? He's like, no, this is for the team building competition.
Okay, well, that's disrespectful to my throw. But all right, well then, Kiyo, you're gonna like this one. I want to talk about Basculin.
Oh, baby, I think he's good. Hot for sure, dude. I mean, I think adaptability is insanely strong. Mold Breaker's cool if you're running with a one dude running Boot Shedinja on ladder. It can realistically get by with Band or Life Orb. It's a fast water type, which is insane. And yeah, I don't know. Superpower's good coverage. Zener's good coverage. Ice Beam hits the Eldegoss if you really need it to. It's a fast threat. I think it's a little underexplored right now.
I go like cold or like warm even. I don't know.
Lukewarm. That's fair.
I'll go lukewarm. I've seen Basculin put in work, but I've also seen it be used as death fodder pretty consistently. I don't know.
I see you've been watching my ladder games.
It's really frail. I'll give you that.
Yeah, that's the problem with it. It kind of falls over to like a gust of wind.
Yeah,
it is one of those mons that you have to predict a lot of the time with. Like, it's certain builds, kind of like Drempa, except at least you have the speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the biggest benefit here is like Kiyo said, it's just a fast water type with adaptability, and in like certain matchups it can be really strong. But you know, I'm saying hot, but I can understand why you would say sort of lukewarm, because yeah, that makes sense. I wrote down Rain. I'll just say thank you next. Absolutely not.
Yep, next.
Orin Guru.
Ludicola's okay, but I don't know about Rain as a whole. Oranguru, you mean Bad Indeedy?
Yeah.
Not.
I think it was okay enough as like a meme mon when we had Haunter, but without Haunter, no, goodbye. The sage gorilla is no more.
Yeah, I didn't get Orin Guru in the first place, so yeah.
I don't know, we're gonna get some dude spamming Trick Room with it that's gonna shut us all up.
Coots will be the one to do it too.
Rabia,
could be.
I think you're gonna like this one.
I don't think I will actually.
Silvally Fire.
Oh, never mind. He's hot. Oh my god, that mod is flames. Alright, so when I first saw Hoenn confirmed, I was like, why? And then I was like, you know what? Let me go on this crusade of using every Silvally form that I can be bothered to build with. Which ones I build? A lot of teams are outdated now. We had Fly Valley, Dark Valley, Normal Valley, Water Valley, Ground Valley, Electric Valley, and at one point there was Fire Valley. This mon is so fun. We don't have like any fire types still in the tier. And as a result, there are a fair few teams that don't even care about having a fire resist. And oddly enough, a 120 base power stab fire move, pretty decent. Pretty decent. This thing's coverage is reasonable enough if you go multi-attack Rock Slide, to where you can destroy teams if you get off that Flame Charge and Sword Stance. And because it's Silvally, it's got rather decent bulk. Not being able to run boots definitely sucks, but given I've run this on HO a lot of the time, you don't really ever run into hazards being a problem. You're mostly just trying to get Silvally Fire in once and do whatever you can with it then. I think it's unironically a pretty good pick.
What are you thinking, Kiyo?
I go back and forth on this one. Right now, I think it's a not. It's how do I put this? I don't think it sweeps ever. Unlike Rabia, apparently, I just don't think it does it.
I have claimed so many souls.
That said, I've never tried Flame Charge. I've always through coverage.
Just pay attention to the Facebook page of Smogon the next few days. About to see some heat.
About to see a
What?
sample team drop.
Get some heat passed. That's all I'm saying. You're about to get some heat passed.
All right.
I've used it on Fire Spam with Kiyo and Flareon, but it was good there. But I think that's just because Flareon dented everything for it.
Yeah, the thing with Silvally Fire, I'm gonna say hot but only in certain matchups. All right, it is like big matchup bait. Okay, if you don't have a fire resist, it's just gonna kill everything. Like every time you get that in, something's gonna die. What?
Like even when you do, losing Rhydon is so good for this mod. Because now it's not a question of Iron Head or Rock Slide. It's just like, no, I get to run Rock Slide and hit Flareon now, and a few other things. I've seen some people say Double Edge, but I don't really feel like killing my Pokemon. I like Valley Fire being able to take a few hits.
Why would you want recoil?
I've definitely won games entirely because I was not trying to run a recoil move, and my Silvally Fire actually had health to take the multi-attack from the opposing one. So reading that what you will.
Yeah, I'm interested to try Flame Charge on it. It's kind of...
Let me hit you up with the sauce. Yeah, where are you?
And I guess another thing is it sort of doesn't offer as much utility as something like maybe Silvally Water does or like Silvally Dark did. So, I mean, I don't know. It can be harder to justify over other Silvally types, but I think it's hot. No pun intended.
Mono Fire is a terrible defensive typing. Absolutely atrocious. It does nothing for you. But being a Silvally variant and just being naturally bulky is at least something.
It has Arceus stats.
Oh, yes. Arceus stats. minus 25 everywhere.
Absolutely. All right. I want to entertain this idea. Galarian Slowpoke.
Stop. Who hurt you?
I'm only saying that because I ran out of things on my list, so we must come
there
to
are
a
a few
conclusion.
other mons, man. Come on, let's think of some. Let me look at this list real quick to get a real spicy mon.
I mean, I wrote this outline like a week ago, so I'm sure there's more spice somewhere.
Don't worry. Kiyo. How do you feel
how about Appleton, dude? What you guys
No,
feel?
stop. Appleton's
how do
bad.
y'all feel about Appleton?
That mon's hot garbage. I used to think it was alright, but I have not seen anyone use Appleton in at least 3 weeks. It's not good.
Here's what I think is the most hilarious thing. Before even pre-alpha dropped, I think most people are hyping up Appleton because pretty decent defensive stuff between like recover and its nice like defensive utility with its typing and ability. Then we got Appleton in pre-alpha, and it got some usage the first 2 days. Then I did not see it at all during the entirety of alpha, except for like the stall team I built with it that won all the games that I played with it because I'm just that good. And then we got into beta, and I saw Appleton even less. And now we're out of beta, and yeah, I think we need to put a missing sign up for Appleton because I have not seen one in ages.
Yeah, no, it's not great. Same with Butterfree. I feel like it's the exact same. People were hyping up Butterfree to no end, being like, the second coming of Vivillon, but it's a lot slower.
Don't disrespect Butterfree because you're about to run into it 3 games in a row and lose 100 ladder points.
When do you ever? I've never lost to Butterfree.
I see Butterfree occasionally on some of these whack offense builds, and I'm always petrified of it just because it is essentially budget Vivillon, but in a metagame with power creep toned down, so it's still kind of problematic. The nice thing about, Butterfree dealing with it, is the fact that all of our forms of revenge killing are pretty good into it, like Scarf Togedemaru, Jolteon, even if you're into that. You got multiple Ice Shard users, Rip Sneasel though. Stuff like Toxicroak with Sucker Punch if you can play around the turns that it's going to go for Quiver. You got a lot of flying resist in general, really. I think in U last gen, somehow we had less ways of dealing with it, or Butterfree was just, not Butterfree, Vivillon was just better at taking advantage of common builds. Yeah, Butterfree is definitely more matchup based. I still think it's pretty decent though.
I think it's underexplored. Definitely needs some work.
Realistically, I think there's sub Quiver with Sleep and Hurricane, and there's like just double
I don't mean
coverage.
underexplored in the sense that like it has many sets it could run. I just mean not enough people have tried to actually make it work.
That's fair.
Like at least in recent editions of the meta. I've only seen one since I've been around.
Rabia, you know what's hot garbage?
Probably.
Double.
Yeah, that one's not good.
I think Double is pretty decent because it's weird. Double's matchup bait, but it has so many good matchups.
No, you know what? Let me tell you something. You know what the number one used mon in this tier is right now?
Isn't it Sandaconda still?
No, it's Cofagrigus, okay? And do you know what Double does to Cofagrigus?
He uses Copycat and copies its Shadow Ball.
Okay, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, but
Yo,
but let
I
me tell
ran
you
into
something.
a sub
And you know what we just
Double, and
you know
I
what
had no idea what to
you know
do.
what we just banned today? 2 Haunter checks. So Double, PU, goodbye, adios.
Yeah, honestly, not gonna lie, we gotta see a lot more Kofa. I have yet to make a team with just standard defensive Kofa, by the way. The only set I have used is Trick Room with either Iron Defense or Nasty Blood.
You are
the only set.
You are the catalyst of this tier.
Bro, I'm quite literally the sage of this tier. I know this meta
I don't think you're the sage. I don't think that's true.
I think it's more than true.
Well, when you live in your mom's basement, you have a lot of time to be on Showdown.
I live in Florida. What basement?
Okay, Kyle. So what else is really bad? Hitmonchan, Hitmontop.
Hitmonchan's pretty good. I think it's team dependent, but it's not like a shitmon. Hitmontop? Oh, that's a nice shitmon right there. Does nothing.
Would you ever run Jolteon?
Yeah, I think it's okay. I made an electric spam team with it, and that was pretty fun. But Jolteon's pretty decent, but just because its coverage between electric and ghost is kind of unreasonably decent. It's also got that juicy speed tier, that one base 130. I think the best set you're probably gonna run is like T-Bolt, Volt Switch, Shadow Ball, Toxic. But it really does all you need for it, or all you need it to do. Realistically, there aren't a whole lot of things that enjoy switching into those 4 moves. The problem I've seen is that people on the ladder really like running Life Orb Hyper Voice, and yeah, no, stop.
Wait, whoa! Hyper Voice Jolteon?
It does learn Hyper Voice, and that move is absolutely useless.
Wait! Okay, so we have the second Heliolisk on our hands, and no one told me.
Yep, we got Stabless Hyper Voice Heliolisk in here.
Holy shit! Are you gonna make it, Kiyo?
I'm good, dude.
Okay, just making sure.
Please don't get corona'd.
Okay, Orbeetle, go to PU.
Orbeetle's a kind of cool mon, I guess.
It's very underexplored, I think.
Jolteon can hit ground types. It just has to run and Weather Ball.
Yo, I love Weather Ball Jolteon.
Oh, I've seen that. That set's good.
My fucking alpha team with Sun, absolutely slaying everyone. The real hero was Maractus, so.
Listen, if you want to hit ground types, just run Dig.
No.
I think Shadow Ball hits him hard enough, but okay.
I think Shadow Ball hits them harder.
I think Shadow Ball, yeah, it does. That's okay. No, I don't know. Jolteon, I just wish it hit ground types, and then it would be good. But I guess Rhydon leaving is great, but then again, Sandaconda, I don't know.
Shadow Ball hits Sanda probably for more than it hit Rhydon for.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, because Rhydon's Special Bulk, just because of its massive-ass HP stat, was always kind of deceptively decent. I know Violite giving it like at least 250-ish, more or less, Special Bulk, if you ran investment in it. It was pretty annoying to kill. I'm so glad Rhydon is gone, man.
Yo. You know what I just saw? You know what's fire? Offensive Gorgai Small.
Yeah, no one's ever run that before, Yoshi. Wow.
No, but I'm telling you, people don't run it enough because it's like extremely good.
It's the only set I've seen.
Yeah, that's actually the only variant.
No,
Other
I
than
should
always
rephrase that. I should
fucking
rephrase that.
upbeat.
I should rephrase that. Gorgeist in general.
Gorgeist is a
I
pretty.
see it a lot, dude. I don't know.
I don't see it that much compared to like when it first got hyped up, but I don't know. I think Gorgeist is really cool though. I like Shadow Sneak, or at least I liked Shadow Sneak. I don't know if Sneak's actually needed anymore. What does it let you deal with? I guess it's just nice to have priority, but I don't know. I
You
can't
can
think of a whole lot of things I explicitly want Sneak for, because a lot of the time I was running Gorgeist just to revenge kill Haunter.
the opposing Gorgeist.
Sure, why not? I could see myself dropping Shadow Sneak for like Will-O-Wisp now.
Just
On sets that I
Phantom
don't-
Force some bitches.
No, I will not.
All
Sorry
right.
to disappoint.
I tried, guys. All right, we're about an hour in. I think that's a good stopping point for us. You know, we hit a lot of nice topics. You know, how to I guess as like a closing question, how do we feel about NU right now in this new meta?
I haven't played anything post bans, and I'm 100% sure the bans aren't even implemented on the ladder yet. But I
Oh.
think the tier's going in a good direction after getting rid of some of. I think I said this after the last slate where I voted ban on all the things. The tier is really oversaturated with threats, and I think the last tier shift we just had did not just bring in a whole bunch of threats. I think most of mons are pretty irrelevant, luckily. But getting rid of two of the biggest like matchup, coin flippy mons in terms of how do I switch into you, I think it's really good, and I think it opens up a bit more in the building process for what you can run viably defensively. I don't think we'll have to see like the same Garbdor Eldegoss bullshit every game now.
Kiyo, considering you've never played a game of SSNU,
Repeat the question.
what do you think of the tier? Is it good? Is it bad?
I think it's much better without the two broken mom. It will definitely be interesting to see how balanced shapes out as an archetype, and where offense goes from here. Seeing if Toxicroak and Silvally end up being too much for us or not.
All right, good answer. I actually have one last question for Kiyo. This is a eternally requested question. He DM'd me 40 minutes ago. He said, "Ask Kiyo how it feels to be cemented in history with Decidui ban and Haunter ban."
Is nobody talking about Lax's ban? Come on.
Keep in mind, I was told this by Rabia Senior. The only reason he voted bad on Decidui was because of Lax. So,
Really?
Okay.
I don't know if it was Lax that told him to, or why he thought it was broken, or if it was some other person, but yeah. His vote was unfairly swayed.
I don't
Okay,
know. I feel like if you
Junior.
can look at a Pokemon and say it has no switch-ins, I can sleep at night by saying I voted to ban it. It's okay.
Just remember, I'll go down in history as the martyr to get Hunter banned.
You're gonna go down in history as K Junior. In my bitch in the tier
Here's
leadership.
thing, right? I've been more successful in NU than K. Although, let's also be real
Jesus.
here.
Setting the bar real high there, Rounds.
Yeah, my what's it called? My arc has been eerily similar to him. It's only inevitable that I get global mod on PS eventually and then resign from everything. Truly complete the sequence.
It's okay. Well, never mind. I can't make that joke on camera. But
No,
all right.
can't.
What?
Cannot.
No, you cannot.
You don't even know what I was trying to say. Okay, whatever. All right. This was a fun podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. I don't know when I'll be back with Meta Mondays, but hopefully soon. So
Hopefully next Monday.
Hopefully next Monday. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things progress. I might have a lot to talk about. I might not. Normally I do have a lot to talk about, but it's actually just voidless misinformation, and it doesn't mean anything. So we'll see. Right. Thank you, Rabia, not Rabia, and Kid Kiyo for joining me today.
That's Cowboy Kiyo to you.
All right, cool.
That's God King Rabia to you. Thank you.
You're welcome for inviting you. All right, be respectful guests and all. But,
Wow, Yoshi, thanks for inviting me to partake in this great podcast episode. I'm so happy.
You should be. All right, I'm the greatest NU YouTuber of all time. Actually, that's Tede, not Kiyo. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Look out for this week for more lives. Tomorrow, I believe we're doing a Driftman live, and I will see you guys then. Peace out.